Namaste, Jai Bharat. This is about civilizations, especially the ancient civilizations. Let's look at civilizations like a lit lamp kept. Its rays travel. You cannot light a lamp and cover it, stopping it from spreading lights. Civilization is also like that. If there is a civilization at a place X, it's natural that those who search for new things or those who are adventurous in going into newer worlds will naturally go to such places. And given that time and space, this process shall take years of reaching the place and understanding that place and understanding things of one's desired choice all takes time. In the process, it's natural that they learn language of the places where they are, because that without that nothing really happens. They learn languages. If one is lettered, they would even read and write. So civilization spreads, presumably, or given all the present knowledge available to us. The most ancient of the entire world civilization begins in Bharat, and ideally we speak of a Saraswati Valley civilization, which was initially thought as Indus Valley, which really is not the case, because Indus is River Sindhu, and the first excavated site is at the banks of River Sindhu, which they called as Indus, later Persian. Then that site is called Harappa. So technically, the archaeologists would give it the name. They have the practice of giving the name of an entire civilization with the first excavated site. So people technically call it as Harappan civilization, because Harappa happened to be the first excavated site of the entire Saraswati Valley. Later, when they understood about River Saraswati, and they've seen that on either side of River Saraswati, the civilizations sprang forward in different stages. We have roughly divided into early Saraswati civilization, middle, and later. Lothal, which is near me, less than 50-60 kilometers. Lothal is the later Vedic civilization. They're all normally called as Vedic civilizations because the Vedas, Upanishads, they arose at that place. They began at that place. They were created during this period at these sites, not one place, many sites. Some 3,700 such sites, as identified by Michel Danino. He writes about this in his good book, famous book, The Lost River, or On the Trail of River Saraswati. He writes that 3,700 in 3 stages, and physically some 2,500 plus places. They are the Vedic settlements. Now, we have initially thought, especially with Michel's study, good study he has done. Frenchman, basically engineer, turned into archaeology, history, and all. Personally a good friend of me. So, given his studies, he had not mentioned about the settlements in the southern part of Bharat. He could only see up to the river Tapi, that's Gujarat Maharashtra border, not to the south. These were not known. The southern sites got exposed or came to be known much later. He wrote this book in 2010, and this came much recent, very recent. So there are settlements in places called Kiradi, etc. This is one place which is popular, and There is also the mention about the lost continent, Komarikandam, as they say, which the European historians call as Lemuria. Komarikandam is thought to be a very vast area, but not very likely. There may be some slight exaggeration, but nonetheless, there's area which sunk under, which is under sea, which got sunk, maybe because of the climatic change, etc. So the settlements were there in south, which naturally will have connections to the Vedic civilization. Civilization must have sprang at multiple places more or less at the same time, and where the knowledge tradition is more intense, it's natural for others to go and learn, and these people to go and influence, and all kinds of things. There are lots of gives and takes in civilization. Without gives and takes, they don't flourish so fast. So if there is an attempt to say that this particular thing do not belong to this larger Sindhu Saraswati civilization, then that will not be appropriate. It will be wrong. So the civilization, the settlements we find in south, should be or must be, with all logic, a part of or an extension of the Saraswati Valley civilization. Saraswati we did not know until very late, because that river doesn't exist anymore in the old form. But the Vedas, they are full of references to river Saraswati, though it doesn't exist now. But then later we knew that there was such a river which flew, which got dried up. And along with the river drying up, the people also had to move this side, that side, and they must have been then recreated. See, every city, all settlements in Saraswati Valley has a lot of things in common. For instance, the brick size were exactly same in all the 3,700 settlements. The size of brick same. Then the pattern of city with the citadel, the same. And if you go in, most things they are same. So it's easy for one to say that it's at least just one civilization spread over a vast area of land. So then we have recently the southern parts, Kiladi and etc. I don't know, some other place also is there, but they must be extensions of these. You can't say that south was closed and shut down. That's not the case, because why, there is Ramayana story in south. Ramji had travelled to south. Hanumanji had gone to south. So you can't say that south is separate. Actually the whole people belong to one Sanskriti. When you use the word Sanskriti, the whole thing falls in place. To one Sanskriti, one civilization. So civilization is like a lamp lit, it will spread. Even if someone tries to cover it, the lamp will only get put off. You can't stop the light from traveling, thus the light travels. And it becomes interconnected. You can't say who began which what, and who began what where, who began it, and who was first. This thing doesn't make much sense. Let's consider this as people created things through gives and takes and interaction together. We have a practice in ancient Bharat. We don't even mention the name of a person who wrote poetry or person who did something. They just don't mention their names. They create knowledge. So if someone thinks that this is exclusive, that will be inappropriate and absolutely wrong to be using a stronger word. It won't be right, it will be wrong. So civilization spreads, it travels, it attracts, and people interact, and they become further enriched and further enriched. As they meet more and new people, things will become more virulent and more intense and more in depth. We shall meet again with some other thoughts. Till then, Namaste, Jai Bharat, and Jai Sri Ram.